A terrifying experience for a man volunteering at a North County church. He accidentally hit a hive and hundreds of bees started attacking him. Good evening, I'm Marcella Lee.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. Paul Lorson ended up in the hospital for a few days. Now he's out though, and he's sharing his stories with CBS 8. Steve Price joins us live from San Marcos with all the details. Steve.
Well, Carlo and Marcella, this area was so overgrown with brush that was a good 7 to 8 feet tall that Paul couldn't see the hive until it was too late.
The first few bees, they looked like they were looking right in my eyes.
Paul Lorson only saw a few bees at first, then hundreds, all hitting right for him.
But I had basically about 2 or 3 layers of bees on my hands, my arms, my face, my head, and my neck. And they were stinging me the whole time.
It happened last Monday afternoon. Paul volunteered to clear this area at San Marcos United Methodist Church so they could build a community garden. But his tractor's bucket hit a pipe, and it turns out there was a well-established hive inside it with a lot of guard and worker bees, and they had one goal: protect their turf.
I ended up having 13 stings from here around to here on this eye.
Paul started running to the front of the church, but his cell phone and car keys were still on the tractor, so he had no way to call for help or hide, and he was covered with bees.
I ran around the corner, and here was a kid, 12-year-old boy, sitting there minding his own business, and I'm yelling at him because I could see he had a cell phone to call 911.
Paramedics took him to the hospital, where they gave him an IV with a mix of medications to treat the swelling and massive amount of venom in his system.
The emergency room doctor described to my wife when she got there that when I first came in, I looked like a red balloon that was ready to pop.
He spent 9 hours in the emergency room before being released, but then returned the next day due to severe stomach pain. He ended up spending another 3 days in the hospital.
Sunday morning, there was one here. It finally came loose enough that we got it out.
Paul says he stopped counting after pulling out 120 stingers, but figures there are still more of them in his body. He's still tired and scared, but grateful to be alive. Doctors say if he was allergic to bee stings, he definitely would not have survived.
Given the circumstances, I think I'm doing pretty good.
Pretty good indeed, by the way. You can see behind me that Paul did get a pretty good start on the project out here, so I jokingly said, well, when are you going to come out here and finish? And he said, Steve, I actually do want to come out here as soon as I'm feeling better and finish the job so they can get that community garden. By the way, Marcella, this isn't even his church. He just heard they wanted to do this project, and being retired and a volunteer, he came out here to help.
Man, is he lucky. And just describing the stingers that he pulled out, more than 100 of them. We're so glad that he's not allergic and that he's doing okay. And you know, Steve, those bees seemed very aggressive. Do we know what kind of bees they were?
You know, we hear a lot about Africanized bees. Well, I talked to the owner of the company, the bee removal company that got rid of this hive, and he said, Steve, please don't say these were fully Africanized bees because we don't have those anymore here. That said, there are hybrids. So there is a small percentage of Africanized part in these bees, maybe 5% or so. So they're aggressive, but not deadly unless, you know, unfortunately you are allergic, especially when you get stung more than 100 times.
Wow. And again, we are so glad that Paul is okay, and, you know, sharing the story to hopefully help someone else know what to do. He was quick thinking, and we're glad for it. Thanks so much, Steve.
In less than an hour, a vigil will be getting underway for a 13-year-old boy killed by a suspected drunk driver in Escondido this weekend. This afternoon, CBS 8's David Gofferson talked to the young victim's mother, whose teen daughter was also in that crash and just got out of the hospital today.
This is video of 20-year-old Alexander Arose taking a field sobriety test moments after police say he ran a red light in Escondido Saturday night and crashed his Kia sedan into a white truck at the intersection of North Broadway and Country Club Lane. The collision killed 13-year-old Rodrigo Tapia Jr., the brother of the driver's 18-year-old girlfriend, who was also in the car.
She's doing well. Thank God.
The mother of the teenagers, Norma Tapia, says her daughter was released from the hospital on Monday.
She only got from the seatbelt a big old rash right here that cut a little bit through her little neck, and she's bruised on her abdominal and on her leg from the side of where the car hit.
A man driving the white pickup truck was also hospitalized. The 3 young people in the Kia were returning from a quinceanera for a family friend.
My son was one of the chambelanes. He was one of the dancers for the little girl having the quinceanera.
The teenager told her mother that her deceased brother was telling the driver to slow down right before he ran the red light.
That he was coming around the curves, and my son would tell him, "Hey, dude, yes, slow down," and he would press more on the gas pedal, and when he arrived to the light, hit the brakes, but he was going too fast.
Escondido police confirm Arraz's blood alcohol level was above .05, which is the legal limit for a driver under the age of 21. He's set to be arraigned on manslaughter and DUI charges Wednesday in Vista Court.
My son was really humble. He was loved by so many people. Please don't drink and drive. There's Uber, there's Lyft. Call your parents. Your parents will help you. Don't hide things from your parents.
We're out here live at the scene of the collision. There's a memorial here in honor of the victim, and friends and family are planning a 7 p.m. candlelight vigil here. The location is North Broadway and Country Club Lane. And the victim's mother tells me everyone is welcome at that 7 p.m. vigil tonight.
David, our heart goes out to Norma Tapia, what she has to be going through losing her teenage son. What school did he go to?
He attended Quantum Academy, which is about 5 miles away from here. It's a public school for 4th through 8th graders. Classmates and teachers are also welcome here at the location at 7 p.m. for the vigil, but I have to warn people when you come out here, the traffic here is crazy fast. There are 2 other memorials to people that were killed at this intersection, so do be careful parking along here and attending this vigil tonight.
Absolutely, be very careful. A difficult and tragic lesson for those classmates as well. David Grofferson reporting for us. Thanks, David.
Tonight, the FAA and the NTSB are investigating a plane crash in El Cajon. The small plane went down yesterday in a neighborhood near Lilly Avenue and Clark Drive. The plane hit power lines, knocking out power to as many as 1,400 customers, but managed to avoid homes and cars. The pilot was the only person on board and is recovering in the hospital. Audio between the pilot and air traffic controllers reveal that the plane lost oil pressure and was experiencing engine problems.
We're learning more tonight about a fire at the Oceanside Pier. City leaders there say it did not start inside the building at the end of the pier.
Part of a water closure around the pier is lifted tonight. CBS 8 Sean Stiles joins us live from the pier with an update. Sean?
Carla, Marcella, last Thursday, the tip here of the Oceanside Pier burst into flames, and I started seeing posts on the internet, different social media pages of the big smoke that was burning out here. I want to take a look at how they had to cut the pier. We're looking at where they made the cut, and that was to keep the flames from jumping over. As you look at the pier here, and as far as the building being burnt, you can see it is a total loss. That was what was Ruby's Diner. We were out here with a press conference earlier today, and Deputy Chief Jess Speck tells us how bad the damage was.
We had roof collapse, we peeled apart the walls, smoldering pile of rubble essentially. As far as the pier itself, on the westernmost side of the pier is where we saw most of the damage, and we have areas 2 to 3 feet burned all the way through the 4-inch planks that run across the pier, and as well as several of the cross members below those planks. So there's been significant damage to both the pier and the deck.
Now, Ruby's Restaurant and the Brine Box, which is the smaller restaurant, are a total loss. First water was put on the fire within 9 minutes. A marine safety boat that's manned by Oceanside Fire and lifeguards were on the scene. They were here working the northwest corner where the fire started. It took almost 3 hours for them to stop the forward progress. 144 firefighters, 30 lifeguards, 32 police officers, fire as well as sheriff's helicopter was out here. SDG joined in on the fight, as well as a dredge boat working in the harbor. ATF sent an accelerant canine to look for any type of evidence of an accelerant, and the investigation showed no hits or scent of an accelerant. The pier looks to be opening in the near future, but we talked to Division Chief Blake Dorse, and he told us this.
As far as the 75% portion being opened, we anticipate that as soon as possible, sooner than later. We just need to keep people away from the end of the pier, and so we need portable fencing to do that. In addition to that, the city engineer has already determined that the structure is sound where we're going to allow the public to enter.
And as you look towards the northwest part of the pier here, that is the brine box. Now, there was a lot of speculation that that might have been the source of the fire, but as you can tell, the wind's blowing this way, and the brine box is on the leeward side of where the fire originated. So at this point, investigations are still ongoing, but they're hoping to get this pier open in time for the Memorial Day holiday kickoff of the summer season. Back to you in the studio.
And that's not too far away. Sean, do we know anything more about plans to rebuild the restaurants at the end of the pier?
Well, you know, what's really crazy about that is the company that was going to take over the lease here had things in the works with planning to do renovation. Nothing had started yet, so there was some speculation that there might have been something like that. But the city says they plan on rebuilding the end of this pier and having a restaurant out here in the future.
That's great news. Thanks so much, Sean.